Good morning. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I used to live here in Santa Rosa between 88 and 89. And after first service, I learned that the food has gotten better. So I'm really happy to be back. Very happy to be back. Before we get started, could I just see, with a show of hands, how many of you might like to have improved health, where every cell in your body is filled with healed light? Okay, all right. Would anybody like to have harmonious relationships with family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and our communities? Okay. And would anybody like to have more money and freedom? Fabulous. Oh, I'm so happy I'm in the right place. Oh, this is great. Well, I have been using metaphysical practices, spiritual principles, for 34 years. My mother decided that her 10th child was a little different. She was a devout Catholic who had converted from Seventh-day Adventist. And she found this little book published in 1925 called The Game of Life and how to play it, and gave it to her 10th child and said, "Go forth, honey, and prosper." That book was miraculous. Spiritual truths are miraculous. I was able to accomplish all sorts of things and use that in all of my businesses, all of my relationships, anything that I decided to do. I could rely on metaphysical and science of mind principles to achieve success. As I followed my sister around, and because that's what I do for my spiritual center, is I pretty much follow wherever Sharon goes, Reverend Sharon. And she found Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle. So I followed her there. And I'm a really, really big believer in the law of giving and receiving. I'm a tither. And so that happened to be my spiritual home, and I started tithing. I mean, I tithe like I brush my teeth. I don't even think about it. If you want to improve your finances, tithing is the secret to abundance, I can tell you. But that's a whole nother talk. So I was tithing, and the spiritual leadership came to me and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing that's different?" Well, I kind of thought it was a trick question. So I answered that I was doing what they were teaching me to do, and wasn't that right? They said, no, you're doing something different, because we don't have that kind of giving here. I mean, we haven't. What are you doing that's different? How are you applying spiritual principles to afford your success? I said, oh, okay. Well, I am a self-proclaimed efficiency expert. I hate to waste time. I just do. I have trained hundreds and hundreds of salespeople, customer service people, managers, and business executives that have worked for my companies on how to do their jobs well and very quickly. We get to where we want to go very quickly. So I explained that what I had done and what I appreciated about Centers for Spiritual Living and all of New Thought practice is that we get to try stuff on. We try on meditation, and we try on treatment process, and we try on this practice, and we find what works for us, right? This means yes, may. So we try on stuff. And what I had done over this course of my career is try stuff on, and then I quickly turned it into a practice for myself that takes just 30 minutes in the morning and then is fun all day long to achieve success. So they asked me, would you consider teaching it to our congregation? So I said sure, and created a workshop. And after about the 500th person had come through the workshop, they had wanted to know more about the stories that I tell in the workshop that are not in the 27-page workbook. And so I was asked to write a book, and that's the only reason that I'm an author, is because it was the request of other people. It was not to be on my resume originally. But my joy right now is traveling around the world to help people use these spiritual truths that we know and we use on a daily basis to improve our lives. The talk title that I have for you today is Partnering with Your Chief Spiritual Officer for Success and Freedom. You're probably wondering, what in the world is a chief spiritual officer, right? Yeah. Well, for me, it is that advisor characteristic of spirit. The advisor, the ultimate advisor characteristic that guides me towards what I want to achieve and also keeps me safe. In my businesses, I surround myself with people whose advice I really appreciate. These are people that are very, very competent and skilled in their area of expertise. I have a chief financial officer that advises us on the financial health of our company. And I have a chief information officer that advises us on the technology that we need to use for our company and for our products that we sell to customers. I have a chief operations officer, a chief marketing officer, and the list goes on. These are people whose advice I really value. And I decided that I wanted Spirit to be the ultimate advisor, so I gave it the title Chief Spiritual Officer and brought it into my C-suite. And as a matter of fact, I ended up placing it at the top of my org chart so that I, as CEO, reported to it. Can you imagine what my employees said? Who is the CSO? Is it a man or is it a woman? Do we ever get to meet them? And my response was that this is a symbol. This is a symbol of why. Because we are a miracle-making company. We are going to have stuff happen that makes no logical sense. We are going to compete with all of the Fortune 20 companies that we compete with, and we're going to surpass them and become market share leader in our field. And it's because of the CSO. Don't try and reason it through. It just is. So all day long, our employees were looking for opportunities to make these statements true, and we ended up succeeding. I am confident that my business success is a direct result of this spiritual partnership. But the CSO also can help in other areas of your life. In 1994, the CSO saved my life. I had gotten this picture, this flash, this idea of my sister's face in my mind's eye. Anybody ever have that happen where just this thought comes flying into your head out of the blue? Yeah, so I had this thought of my sister, and I knew, because I've been practicing this a while, that meant I needed to contact her. So I stopped by her office after I was done with the meeting, and she was so happy to see me. Oh, she had a computer problem that I could fix for free. So as I'm sitting there helping her with her computer problem, she noticed this little tiny dot, teeny dot, on the outside of my right leg. And she asked me about it. Well, you heard in the introduction that I'm from Hawaii, and I'm fair. So I told her it was a freckle. She said she didn't feel that it was a freckle, and asked me to see her dermatologist to have it looked at. Well, I was just about to dismiss her fear, and my gut hurt. Anybody ever have you feel something in your gut that's trying to get your attention? Yeah, my gut hurt. So I knew that I needed to do as she said. So I went to the dermatologist, and he said, oh, May, it's too small. You have nothing to worry about. It's too small. It can't possibly be anything. Now, my father was a surgeon, and he taught his 10 children never to question the advice of a doctor. So I'm sitting there with this belief, right? And all of a sudden, as I'm just about to heed his advice, my gut hurt again. So I said, I'm so sorry, doctor. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you need to cut that off. I came back a week later to a diagnosis of malignant melanoma, Clark's level 3. The CSO saved my life. How many of you know, either for yourself or someone else, you've witnessed the power of Spirit in healing, right? We have that one down. We know. We can look at someone and say, I know that you are whole and complete. You are filled with healed light. There is nothing in you that is unlike the perfection of Spirit. We know that. But we don't sometimes have that same level of confidence in regards to our finances or our businesses or our jobs or even our relationships. But we can. We can. So what I hope to share with you are just 3 things that you can keep in mind, really just to help you to remember what you already know, because you already know everything. And if you would like a copy of the notes, I have these on the table outside, so you're welcome to stop by after service and pick it up. But essentially, the underlying premise is that this should be a fun life. The first thing to recognize, the first point, is that Spirit wants you to do well, wants you to have whatever it is that you want to have, and to keep you safe. It wants you to achieve any goal that you could possibly want. But it stands to reason that you got to have a goal. You have to actually have a goal for it to help you with. And one of the things that you can do to really stimulate your subconscious and your intuition to help you is to name that good, as Ernest Holmes calls it. Name that good as though it's already completed with gratitude. As though it's already completed with gratitude. So instead of saying, my goal is that I want to lose 10 pounds, you would say, I am so grateful that I am physically fit and trim, toned, energetic, in a healthy, pain-free body that is eternally youthful and increasingly more beautiful. It's my goal. But essentially describe what the completed goal looks like with gratitude. The second thing to note is that you can partner with that advisor characteristic of Spirit. Now, let me point out here, this is not promoting separation. We are all one. We are one with Spirit. But we have different names for characteristics, don't we? We call it love, power, truth, divine intelligence, infinite abundance. So why not have a name? Choose a name that describes the ultimate advisor characteristic of Spirit. And make sure it's meaningful to you. I chose CSO, but I've heard lots of people choose names like God, Spirit, divine intelligence, universal power. Some have even called it Fred. I don't know why, but apparently Fred is an ultimate advisor, and that's what they choose to call it. Any name will do, as long as it's meaningful to you. Okay? And now in this partnership, there are clear roles and responsibilities that you both will follow. You have your job. Spirit has its job. Your job is to figure out what it is that you want and describe it as though it's already completed with gratitude. Spirit's job is to create the path for you to get there and to give you one step to take at a time. Like seeing that picture of my sister's face in my mind's eye, that was what I call a lead, an intuitive lead that told me I needed to take a step, which was to contact my sister. So you can either take the step or you can ask for another lead. If you don't understand it, if you don't get it, you can ask for another lead. Okay? This is not uncommon. Intuition is something that very, very successful people have used. Bill Gates says that intuition is a success tool for him. He said that often you have to rely on intuition. And Steve Jobs agreed when he said you actually have to have courage to follow your heart and intuition. And Oprah Winfrey has said that she has listened to that still small voice of intuition her whole life. And the only times that she's made mistakes, when she didn't listen. Albert Einstein said that we have an intuitive mind and a rational mind. We don't like to not know. When you're presented with a lead or when you're presented with a step to take, what do? You Google it. If you want to know the answer to something, you Google it. You look it up. You ask your friends. You analyze it. You measure it. You rationalize it. You try and figure out what could be the outcome of taking a step before you ever take a step, right? Yeah. So before we actually make a decision, our rational mind gets so involved that the intuitive mind gets forgotten. And it's no longer a gift anymore. We live in a world of data, and we live in a world of rational minds, but how wonderful that we have centers like this that are essentially reminding people of the truth. So your job is to figure out what it is that you want. Spirit's job is to create the path and give you one step to take at a time. You either take the step or you ask for another lead. Everybody, I want you to tilt your head up just a little bit and say, Spirit, I need another lead. I'd love to make it more complicated than that, but it's not. You just ask for another lead. What you're not allowed to do anymore is do nothing. If it doesn't make sense, you're not allowed to do nothing. You can ask for as many leads as you want. Let me give you an example of how this works. I travel about 150,000 to 200,000 miles a year, domestic. It's a lot of traveling, yeah. So what I do is I have a routine. I stop by, I get off my plane, I go to the rent-a-car counter, I get my bags, I go to the hotel, drop off my bags, and then I go to the closest grocery store that's nearby that I can pick up water and protein shakes and the things that I need for my stay. So I did that in Cleveland. And I'm sitting in my car ready to go to the grocery store that I know is 5 minutes away. And I get this very strong thought to go to a grocery store that I know is 15 minutes away. So here comes the rational mind. May. What are you thinking? It's 9 o'clock at night. You're going to drive across town at 9 o'clock at night in Cleveland? Are you kidding me? Oh, and by the way, your appointment tomorrow morning is at 8 in the morning. That's 5 o'clock in the morning Seattle time. You're going to be too tired. What are you thinking? And that's when you do, I need another lead. And sure enough, I felt a real comforting thought that I should make that drive. And here comes the intuitive mind. May. Sure, it's 9 o'clock at night here in Cleveland, but guess what? It's only 6 o'clock in the evening in Seattle. You can't go to sleep anyway. Who are you kidding? Why in the world are you concerned about this? Just make the drive. And oh, by the way, everything that you want might be on sale. So I made the drive, and who should be walking out as I'm walking in but a potential customer that I met at a trade show 6 months before who was not returning any of my phone calls or emails. Hi, how are you? And we strike up a conversation, and before the end of the conversation, I'm invited to make a presentation to their group before I leave Cleveland. That led to another meeting and a signed contract worth over $500,000. Now, my goal was, I'm so grateful, thank you, CSO, I'm so grateful that I am now receiving a minimum of $400,000 or more for my business, and that we are able to serve our customers in remarkable and unique and satisfying ways. God loves to give us more than we want. This is just one of so many examples. This happens all the time when you partner with Spirit, so much so that things that you consider miracles start to turn into typicals. Yeah. So the third point is that you need to cultivate a relationship with Spirit by meeting with it every single day. Every day. You need to build that level of trust. And again, I'm a self-proclaimed efficiency expert, so I have a very efficient way to do that. But every day, you need to build that relationship. How many of you have ever heard the phone ring and you knew who it was? Chances are you probably had a relationship with that person. You probably knew them well. Well, the same thing's going to happen as you build this relationship with Spirit. As you meet every day and cultivate the relationship and build that level of trust, what's going to happen is you're going to know how it ends up giving you information. Sometimes through your gut, sometimes through thoughts, sometimes through your heart, sometimes through other people. I've even had it give me information on a billboard. Yeah. But it resonates with us when we know it's Spirit speaking, once we've built that relationship. Very, very important. So I would like, in closing, to be able to have us all read together what Ernest Holmes has to say about the value of spiritual partnership. So can you all see that? All right. Well, let us begin. I know that I am in partnership with the infinite. I identify myself with this partnership, knowing that it always leads to success. I accept that the action of infinite intelligence is back of everything. It is always manifesting. Success I am establishing for myself. Conditions and situations about me now start to correspond to my new ideas about them. The invisible presence and power indwelling and surrounding me, which is forever making manifest my thought, now creates for me the success with which I have identified my thought. May you all be blessed. May you all be prospered. May you all be healthy and happy. And as Ernest Holmes and Emma Curtis Hopkins said, there's a good for you. There's a good for you, and you ought to have it. And I would add, and you should have it now. Yes. Thank you very much.